It's really good. I mean, sort of.
Okay, so we're recording this to the cloud now, so that's good. All right.
Good morning.
Maybe hold it up.
I'll see it.
I don't know if they could see, they're all going.
I don't know if you could. Well, we appreciate you all taking time out of your day to visit with us. I know that everybody has a lot of questions. We still have a lot of questions. Are you all hearing us? Okay, just thumbs up if you are. All right. The call Saturday, the email Saturday and the call yesterday from Keller Williams Coastal Properties was a little presumptuous. Very good, a lot of good information, but we believe you need to hear it from us. We believe you prefer to hear it from us, and we prefer you hear it from us. But Kris will be addressing staff issues and what we're doing. We're fully operating. We do not want to interfere in your ability to do business. We want it to be safe, and we want you to adhere to all of the guidelines, the protocols being set up. But we have fiduciary relationships and responsibilities that go beyond a normal business. We were part of a phone call on Friday with the leadership of CAR. They gave their opinion, which was published Saturday morning, and we are not entirely in agreement with it, although we are going to adhere to it.
No, we're not.
To a degree. We're rule breakers, but we're responsible rule breakers, if you will. So I'm going to have Kris address what we're doing here internally, and we'll of course open it up to questions and let you guys fire away as well. So Kris?
I did sit in on the Keller Williams webinar, as you will, and their take. And I also got information on residential, Coldwell Banker Residential's take on this, and I got some information on Compass's take on this whole thing. And all the brokerages basically have the same basic feeling, which is we all have to operate, we all have to make a living, we all have to continue in some vein so that we can continue to do business as usual, but not as usual. Everybody needs to be safe. You need to make sure your clients are safe. So we have to do business in an unusual way going forward. Couple of the things that I did find out: photographers are not exempt. So if you have a listing and you want a photographer to take pictures, they do so at their own risk. You should not be accompanying them into the house. Recommend.
Final last screen is a yellow line.
Somebody needs to mute their phone.
Here.
Okay, Mom.
I'm gonna do this.
Okay.
Sorry, we're gonna mute again.
There you go.
Okay.
You're good. Actually, if I take. No, it's okay. Never mind.
Okay, I think we got it. Anyway, so if you're going to go what some of the other offices recommended and we agreed with is, if you're going to have photographers at the property, unlock the property, let them look at the property or take the pictures, stay outside, stay in your car, whatever. Certainly keep distances and make sure that they agree to sterilize anything they may touch, wipe it down, or you go in after they leave and wipe everything down.
I had a phone call with Gary Marsh this morning. He mentioned that a number of you were calling him, wanted him to take photographs. He's willing to do that. with these conditions. He wants written authorization. We believe you should have written authorizations from your seller for this to occur. The seller should not be home, nor should you accompany Gary. You can meet him at the door. He will ask that you remain outside while he does his work. He will be wearing gloves. He will wipe down any surfaces that he may have come in contact with. He is going to abide by very strict guidelines, but he's willing to do it. So written authorization from the seller authorizing it. Recommend that they please leave home during the photography, the videography, and abide by Gary's request and protocol. But obviously, a number of you have made the call. Business is going on, it's occurring, so we want to be able to do it and abide by the protocols as they are.
Loans are still allowed. The financial industry is allowed to continue as normal. So the appraisers fall under that norm or essential business. So they can do appraisals on the homes. But again, appraisers don't want, one of the appraisers that I heard talk said that they're calling the clients before they go to the home. They're making sure that the client will not be in the home. They're getting permission to enter the home, and they're stating that they're coming to the home with gloves on and that they're wiping down all the surfaces, and that they don't want the agents in the home with them. They realize that you have to be there to let them in, but they prefer that you're not in the house with them. And in fact, some of them are insisting that you not be in the house with them. We would prefer that you not. So the appraisers are fine. They are being pretty stringent about protecting themselves and clients. So that's good news. And it's also good news that they don't want to interrupt the flow of the loans that are in place right now, and that they figure will continue to be going on. The one aspect of loans or your deals that are going to be problematic are the movers. Movers have shut down. They are not moving homeowners. I don't know about locally. I don't know if you can find local movers that might do it, but any of the big movers that were moving out, even in the city, but out of the city, cross country, they're all shut down. They've canceled all moves. So if your clients were planning to use a mover and they weren't doing the U-Haul thing, you probably need to plan on a 60 to 90-day escrow or a big rent back or something to accommodate that. You need to find that out up front, or you need to, if you're writing offers on properties, you need to find that out up front. There was another interesting piece of information. Regarding open houses, we absolutely don't recommend you do open houses. This weekend, I heard about somebody holding an open house where the police came in, told them if it wasn't shut down by the time they came back, it was $1,000 fine. So that was an open house that was open to the public. But I saw a clever use of open house by a Compass agent who first did a walkthrough with his camera showing the property pictures, posted that on Facebook or Instagram, probably both. Then he went to the property. He wrote on both places that he would be there at certain times and he would take questions, calls. So he was taking his open house as kind of a phone call type thing. There are different ways to do this. Lori Scarborough had her husband video her walking through her property, and she walked through the property and was kind of describing it to her husband like she would describe it to a buyer, and she posted that. I think that was a great way to do an open house, another way. So I think this is going to bring out the creativity in all of us. And for those of us who aren't creative, yeah, Nick is here. And we have to borrow from all the other creative people that are out there. plagiarism is the highest form of a compliment, they say. So borrow from everybody else who's creative. Derek, you're creative? Is that why? Oh, no. Okay. So those were, that's your creative daughter.
You know, one of the, Jennifer's got her dog with her now. One of the things that Nick is going to be doing, is it this afternoon? Or tomorrow. Nick will be doing a training for those of you that are uncomfortable with your virtual skills. He'll be doing a training on virtual showings and virtual open houses. So for the benefit of those that would like to tune in, certainly make a point of tuning in. Appreciate Nick doing that. It's certainly beneficial. Oh, and there's smoke.
So, okay, so we've got all 3 offices are still open for you guys to go in and do business in. We have skeletal staffs working in them. We don't have them fully staffed as they were, but the other staff is working from home. So all of your files are being taken care of, all staff work is being done, marketing, everything that you were getting before, you're still getting, and questions are being answered. If you call any of their extensions, it rings directly to wherever they are. So it goes to their cell phones, or they get the messages right in their email. So you will be taken care of the same as you've been in the past. Your supplies, anything you might need is here in the office. You need the scanner, copiers, whatever. It's here. Your checks will be here. Mail comes in here. So we are getting mail. We are getting packages. I know a number of you have your own mail sent here. So that will still be received here and distributed. So you don't have to worry about that.
You know, question specifically, Ross sent me an email this morning and we can respond to it. One of the things that you need to be cognizant of is that the coronavirus addendum that CAR published last week is pretty much a get out of jail free card for buyers at this point in time. It is very difficult to retain deposits, not impossible, depending on the justification, but that enables buyers to rescind on their offers, and it's pretty wide open. In fact, I talked to John Giardinelli this morning, and he agrees. He says in this environment, for a seller to try and keep a buyer's deposit will most likely be unsuccessful. If you are negotiating deposit releases and you have a buyer that is willing to offer a portion of the deposit, we recommend that your seller take that. It's certainly better than what the possibilities could be going forward. Of course, none of this would be resolved through the legal system because in essence, they're shut down as well.
So Ross asked the question that he had a deal and the buyer canceled at the 0 hour, the last minute, and blamed it on the COVID-19. I think he said the buyer was an attorney.
Seller's an attorney.
Seller is an attorney. They put the property back on the market, got a couple offers immediately, got it resold, but for 5% less. They did make it subject to cancellation in the first offer. The buyer does not want to release any of the deposit. Seller does not want to release any of the deposit.
She's an attorney.
But either does the buyer, correct? Buyer does not want to give it to the seller. Right. So, should he proceed? We had a couple of these last week. We were able to negotiate them where one case they split the deposit 50-50. In another case, they're splitting it a little bit higher than the 50-50. All of this is just unknown territory. We don't know. I think if you can get them to agree to give something, Another situation is that they can close the escrow on the second property. They can agree to cancel the escrow and set the deposit aside. And then later they can go to mediation over the deposit. But I don't know that anybody will ever side with the seller.
Some, do we want to unmute? If you,
If you have a question, raise your hand. We can see you guys.
Nicole, how do we unmute?
Click on her. There you go. Hit unmute in the
There.
corner.
Hi,
Okay.
can you hear me?
Yes.
I think they can unmute.
So Mr. Gary Joyner has a question about showing property because he has a very enthusiastic buyer and wants to know what are the protocol of how he should be handling that. Correct?
Well, I would say primary, first of all, get written authorization from the sellers of any homes you're showing, allowing for it. Part of the protocol should be they not be at home when the property is being shown. And that, first of all, Gary should not ride in the same vehicle as the buyers. You should meet the buyers at the property, and you can give them access to the property, but I wouldn't accompany them into the home as a rule.
Okay,
That's fine.
Okay.
that would be
Okay.
good. So just contacting the listing agent. Okay.
Written authorization is critical at this time.
Okay.
Kelly Smith. That's
Faye.
Kelly. Oh, where's Faye?
Right
Thank
here.
you. I'll
Hey,
mute
you're-
myself again.
Thank you, Nicole.
All right.
You can unmute yourself when you want to ask a question and then mute yourself back when you're.
Faye, you're
done.
unmuted. Faye,
Hi,
you're unmuted.
can
That's
you hear
Kelly.
me?
Well, that's Kelly.
Oh,
See, their name shows up. Can you read it?
No.
Oh, put your glasses back on.
Hi.
Hey, Kelly, sorry.
Hi. So do you have wording that you could send us in an email that we should be using when we request their permission for the showing? Number one. Number two, I had an instance this weekend where the buying agent wanted us to sign a release of liability. And then the buyers and sellers kind of got into it because they wanted to make sure everybody released everybody from liability. And I just shut it down and said, how about we not show the property? And it really was for the better. But how should we handle that with the wording, and should release of liability even be a part of that?
I think if we put that out there for showings, you're going to have, just like you had, kind of an uproar. People are going to be like pretty much against it. I think we need to, I don't know, I'll see if I can put something together. Phil and I can put something together. I think it basically needs to say that buyers are aware that the COVID-19 virus,
Risk associated.
that there are risks associated with, God, I don't know. You know, it's like this ugly can of worms, you know. We'll try to see if we can come up with something. There have been, Phil and I were on another call with a bunch of brokers around the state. Maybe some of them have put together something. We can reach out and see if anybody's got something already they've done. Somebody somewhere's got to have done something. Coldwell Banker Residential came out and said, while they respect everything that Carr has said, everything that the governor has said, we've got to still do business, which is exactly how we feel. If you guys can't do business for the next 60, 90 days, and you're not making money, and then you got to ramp up after that for another 60, 90 days, how many of you will still be realtors in 6 months, 8 months? I mean, we need to help you guys survive, so we need to do that in the safest way possible. So maybe we need to get hazmat suits for everybody. I don't know, you know, it's like, and not to be making funny out of something so serious, but it's like, we're going to try to do this in the best possible way so that you guys can still do the business you do. And I think your clients will appreciate anything you do that keeps them safe and keeps them, you know, from taking any more risks than are necessary at this time. There are people anxious to buy, and I know if you're working with them that you know that they're anxious and they want to buy, and rates are so incredibly crazy low right now, and there are good deals out there. So we just need to make it feasible for everybody and safe. So I'll see what I can find out there amongst all those people we're networking with.
Kelly, the email your client sent you that you forwarded to me last Friday, I thought it was just general enough to be fine.
Okay.
But we'll work on finding something that would be more appropriate.
That would be lovely. Thank you.
Other questions? It goes without saying, I think, that we will not, we're going to extend beyond the end of this month for sales meeting cancellations. We certainly will not have sales meetings through the first 15 days of April at this point, and we'll keep you apprised going forward.
I think what we're going to try to do is have more meetings like this. And if you can check in, great. If you can't, it's okay. We're going to record all of them. So we'll put the link up. It'll be in the cloud. You can, you know, catch it when you can.
Feel free to write questions in the chat box now too, guys. I know some of you are using the chat, but feel free to write questions in the chat. That might make it easier than raising your hand.
Oh yeah, I
And
see.
Phil, if you want to
Okay.
scan.
He's putting
through.
his glasses on so he can see it now.
All right.
Chris, and stop the interruption.
Hi, guys. Can I offer some information? This is Tracy.
Sure.
Okay. I was on a call with Tom Ferry this morning for an hour, and he talked about, is it okay if I share this stuff?
Absolutely.
Okay. In addition to what we've talked about as far as listing appointments and showing instructions and open houses and that kind of thing and authorization for sellers, he talked about the importance of reaching out to our clients via video, personal videos, chats and posts on Facebook. The idea is to continue to pump our pipeline, to fill our pipeline, and to keep our schedules in line, you know, with what we're doing. He talked about narrowing our business plan down to a 30-day time frame, what we can do in 30 days, meaning how many listing presentations can we give virtually. And I can give you, Phil and Kris, I can tell you, he's going to share this stuff with everybody, not just his coaching clients. But I'll give you some information on how to get to that information, those resources. So there's videos on how to do a virtual presentation, a virtual showing, virtual buyer consultation, virtual listing paperwork. He also talks about training and doing marketing, utilizing free social media, free email, personal videos to our clients. He says it's critical that we keep contact with our pipeline because communication is so key right now. That'll keep us vital and also a resource and a sense of calm and reason for our clients and our database and our sphere of influence, and also strengthen our brand, strengthen our personal and Coldwell Banker brand as the people who are caring and compassionate and concerned about our human people, our human connections. The other thing he suggests is that we should all go on and look at our profiles and make sure the tone of our profile is in keeping with right now, what's going on right now. And if we have any auto sending out things like an auto email stream, auto posting, take a look at that and see the tone. If it's, hey, it's time to buy, it's springtime now, we may need to change the tone of that so that we are understanding of what's going on and we're not inappropriate or insensitive.
Thank you, Tracy. And as we've said all along, this is a chance for everybody to shine. I want to acknowledge everybody that helped with Kelly's client. Of course, we were sending out the emails and letting everyone know the response was overwhelming. I know that Kelly's client is just particularly grateful for all of the help that everyone gave. And that's really an example of how we can come together and shine. but I totally agree with what Tommy said. You want to use the opportunity to really stay connected to everybody. It's particularly important now, and you can be of service in a number of different ways. And we want to acknowledge Maggie for reminding us to stay 6 feet apart.
We have to have a camera. We'll do it on our next one.
We'll get 2 next time, so it's not like this. I promise we will.
You know, that there's questions about how much activity. We are trying to pinpoint the exact activity. Of course, it's a little more difficult during these times, but there has been actually a surprising amount of activity and sales going. As Ross's question said, he put the listing back in and had 2 offers and had it right back in escrow. And I know that others are having that experience as well. There are the buyers want to take advantage of these low interest rates. And I want to comment on actually I overheard it this morning on another phone call, that buyers are fearful that properties are going to depreciate. Let me just give you some basic elements to why that is absolutely incorrect. We have a shortage anywhere from 1 million to 3.5 million homes in the state of California. Homes are not going to lose any value for that matter. We're seeing very moderate appreciation now. I don't expect that to change. It might in a very little, to a very little degree, but property values are not going to depreciate at all during this time. This is not a real estate recession. This is not at all like the Great Recession we went through. It was entirely driven by the subprime loans and the mortgage-backed securities that were contaminated. This is not a real estate recession. This is a global financial crisis because of the coronavirus, obviously. It's not going to impact real estate. In fact, everybody that we have spoken to, and literally Kris and I have been on at least 1 call a day with brokers from all over the state, all over the country, and we've been on a call with the leadership of CAR, including Joel Singer. And to a person, they all feel that we will come out of this stronger. It's just a matter of what we do getting through it, and we want you all to remain positive in that regard. Show of hands, how many of you have clients that want to look at property or listen? Yeah, almost everybody. So it's that's a good indication. Other questions, anybody? Marlene is showing property today. Yeah, we're gonna try and get the stats on a regular basis. We're hamstrung a little bit because as Kris mentioned, we're down to a skeleton crew. We have Rachel and Linda in here because they're essential. They're accounting. We have them here so you can all continue to receive your checks when they come in, and we can process the mail. Those are the priorities, but getting our activity is also something we're going to do. And as you saw Casey post in the chat, she will be doing graphs, trying to get graphs out on what we're seeing, so you have an idea that you can share with your clients that may have questions about that as well.
I want to mention something about days on market. This has been a question that has been asked by a couple agents. If we can do anything about the days on market, if we take a property off the market, can we stop the days on market? Can we change it? And the answer to that basically is no, because in order to change the way that the MLS rules are written, this would have to go back to the MLS committee. The MLS committee would have to change that rule. That would then have to go to a vote, which would then have to go to that goes to the MLS committee. They meet once a month. Then that would have to go to PWR. They meet once a month. That would be like, best case, 2 months from now before they made that decision. Then it would go back. I mean, this is like a 6-month proposition. So it's not going to happen. The days on market are not going to change. So if you take something off the market and put it on hold, those days will continue. And that's the bottom line. I mean, there's nothing we can do about that.
I also want to comment on the eviction moratorium that has been, well, it's been mandated now by the governor as well. And of course, you know, Long Beach put in place an eviction moratorium, and we talked to the city attorney on Friday, and that moratorium applies to tenants in escrows. We had one of our agents want to know if they could proceed with evicting 2 of the tenants, or 3 of the tenants, actually. It was a triplex. And that is, the answer is no, they can't. That moratorium does apply. And Kris actually made this suggestion that you offer incentives to the tenants to move. That may be one solution to it. And this particular seller had reduced the rents to their tenants during the showing of the property as an incentive. They are now going to restore that rent back to where it was originally, and then they're going to try giving the tenants incentives to move. But you cannot evict during this time.
When can you evict? Nobody knows.
Any questions? Any other questions?
Kelly Laird was asking if they can do like a marketing, like a wants and needs, and like promote their listings at the end of the call. Maybe it would be nice.
Yeah, and Kelly, the answer is, of course. What we, as Kris alluded to a little earlier, her and I have talked about doing a daily call, and part of that call could be a marketing segment that would be a benefit to everybody. We think that this is going to become the new norm, of course, is meeting by Zoom. And the more we do it, of course, the more we'll all become comfortable with it. So,
Phil and Kris, Kim Hanmer had a question. I don't know if it was answered in the chat because I was going back and forth. What about dropping door to door? What are your thoughts?
we discourage it.
I think the police would cite you.
Oh.
They're citing other people for doing things that I think are just ridiculous. Like, they're not arresting people for running drug houses, but they are citing holding an open house. So $1,000 fine for doing that. But
And I will share this observation. We live just off of Bluff Park, and the traffic in the park over the weekend was unbelievable. It was greater than even the 4th of July, which, as you all know.
and they're going to stop that.
And they're stopping that. In fact, yesterday afternoon, we watched the police go through the park and tell people to disperse because they were not following the physical distancing that they should be doing. So you're going to see it, and they've closed all the sports parks, basketball courts, tennis courts, all of those elements. Because they're being abused. They were violating the social distancing requirements. So you're going to see more of that. So I don't think it's prudent to be out dropping. I think you would find far more negative impact from it than you would get any positive.
Did you get this question? And then did you get that?
No.
Okay, we're going to go to Alma's first, and then Michael. Alma asked, we touched on lenders being available. I've heard that there is slowing the escrows process. Yes.
Lenders are just bogged down. They have so many loans in pipelines that they are just totally bogged down, but they are not out of money. They're not stopping the loan process. They are very much going to continue loaning on properties, and they assured us, I mean, I listened to a couple lenders, and they assured us that they were going to continue to make residential properties their priority, and refis would be after residential.
As you can see in chat, Bob Maldonado has recommended a minimum of 45 days.
Mm-hmm.
We think that's...
yeah, no more 30 days, guys. Don't do that in your offers. And sellers, don't counter 30 days. Do not counter that because it's impossible. You're trying to make people jump through hoops that they can't jump through. So please, if you're representing sellers, Don't try to, squeeze them through that little teeny hole that they're never going to get through.
I'm going to go to Michael's question. I know Jennifer has a question, and then Betsy, I'll get to yours about evictions. But Michael said he's representing a seller. Buyer has removed all contingencies in his past closing date. We now have canceled. She has now canceled her loan docs and is using the coronavirus addendum as an excuse. Since she was employed in voluntarily canceling her docs, we want a notice to. We sent a notice to perform. Can she still cancel? And John Giardinelli this morning said, this is the answer to that is probably yes, because of the unusual circumstances. You don't have to voluntarily do it. You could try and leverage it for some of the deposit, but he thinks that once you get to a point that this CV addendum is going to, like I said earlier, become a get out of jail free card, unfortunately.
We had one buyer last week who said she'd give half her deposit, but if she did that, would the seller then hold the property for her until this was all over? So people have unrealistic expectations on all sides of this coin right now. It's just kind of a funny market. But my recommendation now is that everybody talk to each other. If the agents can communicate and keep that door open, you're going to get a lot further than if people stop talking. Once they stop talking, you guys are dead in the water.
And so Matt asked a question about single family home evictions, and Betsy had said you could evict due to non-payment, which is true. You can still you still can offer or issue eviction notices for non-payment or rent or for cause reasons for eviction. It's you cannot. The just cause element in these evictions comes into play, but and it would apply for single family, Matt, if in fact it was for non-payment. But I would say for anything other than that, you're probably not going to be able to do the eviction.
Jennifer, do you want to unmute yourself and ask your question?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Just a quick question. Will there be updates? Because it would help me out to have updates of properties that are, as of maybe last week and moving forward, like properties that are going into escrow and that we have that have closed and all that. Because I understand that any properties that were in escrow 3-4 weeks ago makes sense that a lot of those are hopefully closing. But what's going on right now? Because and if it's bad news, okay, it's bad news. I just want to know like what I can share with clients and just say, hey, our brokerage is still closing deals. We did, 4 or 5 this week, and we just opened escrow on 8, whatever. Or if it's 0, it's 0. But I feel like I don't have that information, and I feel very much confused what to share with my clients. Thank you.
We're just discussing that now. We are trying. I can give you individual stories. But we've had agents open as many as 5 new escrows in the week. So there's that kind of activity. We've had agents whose listings have gone on the market and 12 offers. So we're seeing that activity. Certainly earlier in the week, naturally, we do not have a good sense of what happened since.
We're going to look right now.
Friday, and we're going to try and.
We're going to go into Dash and see what we can pull up on that.
Thank you.
Yeah, we'll get an answer for you in just a minute on that. Sarah asked the question if the signpost companies are still putting up signs. D-sign. Well, D signs may not be. They were cited last week by the police for hanging a sign. This is like something I don't even get. Why would that be a citation offense? I don't understand that when nobody's around them. But I know that the Rapid Sign Company is hanging signs. That's the one primarily we use. D signs, not quite as much. So as far as we know, Paige says the ones we're using out, that we call from this office, yes. And Nicole, I know you're on this call, although it looks like you disappeared. Maybe you can say whether they are, if you guys are using someone different, if they're still doing them.
And Betsy just posted that Upside Down is open as well. So it appears the sign companies are open. We don't know what D will do because of the citation they received.
Okay, home inspectors and termite companies. I think that's a gray area because they've said that home construction can continue.
It's essential.
Home construction is essential business. I would say that termite comes under that, but that's just me. I like to beg forgiveness, a lot of times. If I was crawling under a house, who's to say I'm not doing home construction?
And Kelly and I had this conversation over the weekend. Vince Driscoll is open, doing his termite inspections and repair work. He has, talked to him about the protocols they're following.
They don't usually touch anything. They have that stick that they touch with.
Right.
And they crawl under the house, that gross stuff. I think that home inspectors, again, somebody on a couple of the calls I listened to, they said some of the home inspectors were saying, no, no, no. Others were saying yes, but they all said no homeowners in the house, nobody in the house. And they don't want the agents there either. So again, it goes back to opens.
Jules,
Opening.
we're
And listing.
the information we had about D sign company being cited was third party information. I'm not aware of the agency citing. However, they are policing, if you will, and they're suggesting. I don't think we're in a police state, certainly, but I do know that I observed yesterday the police department dispersing people from the park. That helped, of course, with the rain. The combination, the park emptied out almost immediately.
Mm-hmm.
Questions? Any other?
Yeah, Marlene, I'd say go ahead with your inspection on Tuesday. What enforcement agency? It's the police that have been doing this.
I just answered that. You should have paid
Okay,
attention.
sorry.
I'm trying to push her away. She just keeps crowding me.
He's not answering every question.
Well, that's not, thank you. You're welcome, David.
Now, kids.
Is Janie, are you saying the city was still doing gas shutoff on fumigations? Or was that a question?
Hi. My
Yeah,
first time. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, it's my first time using Zoom, so I don't know what I'm doing. But yeah, I have a listing that the termite the fumigation was over the weekend, and gas came out as scheduled to turn off, and they're coming tomorrow to turn on. And because it's a vacant house, they allowed me to use the release of liability where no one is there, and they'll go into the house using the lockbox, and there's no problem with that.
Good.
Thank you. Good information.
I have a question.
Back up. I have to answer a question.
Chris?
Yeah, you hear me?
Yes,
Can you
we
hear
can
me?
hear you. Yes.
Okay. On the coronavirus addendum, it came to our attention over the weekend. We have a all-cash buyer that's in escrow due to close April the 2nd. And since he wasn't doing a loan, when I read it, I didn't think it was necessary to cause alarm and show it to him. And somehow he got a hold of it because his wife in her prior career was a processor. So they brought it to my attention. And of course, when we negotiated getting this property, he paid $20,000 over asking price on 5 offers and got the property. His question is, I've lost, in the stock market like everybody else out there, 30% coming out of that. And he's thinking now overpaid for the property. So, you know, he really doesn't want to cancel. His financial advisors told him to go ahead and cancel. And of course, he wanted our opinion on this. So, I mean, he's buying it non-owner occupied for his daughter who's going to live in it. But, you know, I said, we can't answer this question for you. I mean, your daughter's going to live in it. You have to decide if you want to perform. So what he wanted us to do is go to the seller and say, would you reduce the price back down 20,000? Because now he thinks he's not going to capture his money. And I knew the answer to that. The agent said, absolutely not. I'll put it on the market because there is aggressive buying going on out there. There's no question about it. So I told him that. I said, you have a choice of, you know, closing the deal, or you want to just wait and see what happens and then go out there and try to look for a property that suddenly even more people are going to be looking for because sellers might not be putting their properties on the market. So lo and behold, he's going to go forward. He's going to close it. And that's today. But do we need to have that form in? Is that mandatory that it goes in our file?
No.
Or can we just not use it now?
No, that form can be introduced at any time during the transaction. It does not have to be introduced at the beginning of the transaction. It can be brought in the middle of the transaction when there appears to be a problem. If you read that form, and especially if you look at number 2, it's when problems kind of occur that you can add that one. You know, it's not a mandatory form that has to be given in the beginning. It can be added at a later time. It doesn't have to be used day one. It's an offsetting form, and every one of the agents who's tried to use it at the beginning, the sellers have said no. So I think
I just think it was another chance for him to get out of a deal.
Yeah,
Exactly.
and that's what people are saying. 2 things I want to address. Ross had a question about best way to perform a tenant occupied 4-unit walkthrough. I heard a suggestion this weekend that I thought was pretty good on tenant occupied units. Number 1 was to get the tenants out of the property and have the agent do the walkthrough via video like this on Zoom or live on, you can do it live on Facebook. So you walk through the property and your client looking at the property. And the client can actually speak to him and say, no, go down there, look in that corner, you know, look under the sink, whatever. That's one viable option of doing that. Another one, get the tenants out, get the client there. You as the agent stand outside and let the agent go through the property. But then again, they have to sterilize everything, wipe it all down. And those are the 2 suggestions people recommended this weekend on a call I was on. And then in answer to Jennifer's call and everybody who's curious, for last week, the previous 7 days, we had 22 closings, we had 12 listings, and 21 pending sales. This has been a hell of a March, just in a normal market. That's a great month for us, but it was, for the market we're in, that was pretty aggressive.
Good job.
Yeah, congrats to all.
And, you know, Betsy said a suggestion for inspectors and vendors. You have to talk to them. Not all of them are willing to do their inspections or going forth. CAR's position on inspections are they should be prohibited. We do not want to use any kind of language like prohibition or it's simply not part of what we do. You're independent contractors. We want you to utilize your best judgment, certainly adhere to all of the health and sanitation protocols, but it's your call utilizing common sense for all intents and purposes. So we do know of some inspectors and vendors that are it's business as usual. We know others that are backing off of it right now. So Jerry, as far as garage inspections still going forward, as far as I know,
The answer is yes.
yes.
In fact, I know one of the agents called on Wednesday and got an inspection Friday. So I don't know how that happened, but it did.
Other questions? All right. Well,
I think we addressed them all, but
I think, and of course, we're available. We've got our cell phones attached to the hip.
12 new listings, Kelly.
Did you hear that, Kel?
Yes.
Okay. We're available for you. And as we learn anything else, naturally, as we said, we're going to try and do this on a daily basis. We will give you better notice than we gave today. We're learning as we go, of course. And with that, we just want to give you all hugs again. Wish you all the best. Please stay safe. We're here for you. We're in this together. We will come out of it stronger.
Anybody who wants to pitch a listing.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Nick has just reminded, who would like to pitch a listing?
Kelly.
Kelly.
You can unmute yourself.
Yeah, you can unmute yourselves, guys.
Here we go. Okay, sorry. Okay, 6771 Manhattan in Huntington Beach. It's in the mountains. And without me having to do any work to it, they're willing to let it go at the 950 mark. Otherwise, my painters will be in there starting next week. And then we'll be renovating it and it'll be priced higher. It is a 4-bedroom, 2-bath, single story, 2,161 square feet. It's a good one.
Great. Congratulations. Thank you, Kelly. Tracy.
Unmute yourself.
Hi, 1311 East 14th Street, a duplex, cute, tenant occupied. They just signed a 1-year lease, each of them. It will probably go on the market this week or next week. We had a pre-market offer from a cash buyer who was a broker investor, and they just went away today. So it's going to be listed at $559. Negotiations are possible. The seller is in Mexico. So we're doing all of this electronically, and we can set up virtual tours and showings. So let me know if you have anybody. It's especially a cash buyer. You're going to have 1-year lease on the tenants at $1,400 for the front unit, which is a 1-bedroom, 1-bath, $1,595 for the tenants in the back, which are 2-bedroom, 1-bath, and it's really cute. 1311 East 14th Street. Let me know. Thanks.
Anyone else? You can unmute yourself.
Sarah Island said 1181 Los Altos in Park Estates. She says she's a homeschooling mom. Mess right now.
So
no video for me.
No video for now.
Hey, I'd like to do one.
Okay, Sonia, take it away.
Yeah, my listing in Rose Park, it fell out of escrow. And so now it's back on the market, and I'd love it if you guys could spread the word and get some more people that are interested in the area. It's a 3-2, like 1,100 square feet, 5,000 square foot lot in Rose Park.
Great, thank you, Sonia.
Thank you.
And please refer to the chat. The esteemed Jeff McIntosh has just posted that the Desert Association is removing the open house options from the Flex MLS system until further notice.
Well, so did ours.
Yeah, ours did. So did CRMLS.
That's okay. You still could have. You could write it in.
Oh.
Yeah, Kathleen has a Belmont Heights lease, 4419 East 6th Street, 2-in-1, $2,800 a month, 2-car garage.
Kelly has another.
Kelly has another. You can read the chat, everybody. You can all see the chat, I believe. And Jules has posted, he has a listing coming on the market later today, 3-bedroom, 1-bath, single family, 1,140 square feet, 537. And that's 11460 Hayford Street in Norwalk, and it's vacant. Lockbox.
Sonia, what's the price on your Rose Park?
760.
760. Okay.
All right. Anything else?
Sarah Ireland, 11202, Loch Lomond, Rossmore, 1,639,000. Sonia Elliott, she's willing to negotiate. I feel like we're at an auction.
I almost feel like radio DJs, you know?
Only we need one of those booths where we're each in our own little glass cage. Don't touch me.
That's why I've kept my hands on the
You
screen.
see how good I do at not touching my face too. I got to sit on my hands or something. Okay, so thank you guys for joining us. We had about 88 of you, which was great. We thought we'd have about 8, so that was really wonderful. And we're going to do these more
on a regular basis.
So we're going to try to do it every day, but I don't know if we're going to have everyday ideas. So, but at the rate the news is coming at us, I think maybe we will for a while anyway.
Leisure World's still open despite the reports.
A rancho coming on this
Tracy
week.
has a rancho coming on this week. So there's a lot of activity.
Molly has 264 Roswell for lease.
2-bedroom, 1-bath, $24.95 a month. It's on your
Front
chat.
house.
Okay, I just have to say it. It's my birthday today.
Oh, happy birthday.
Thank you. And I'm spending it with you. I was going to be at Disneyland today, but gosh darn it. I'm so happy I'm with you, my family.
What a way to celebrate. It's Rachel's
Yay!
birthday today.
Happy birthday.
And it's Chris's
you.
birthday tomorrow. So,
Wow.
Yay, Kris, tomorrow.
Great month.
yeah, so you Aries.
Uh-huh.
All
Crazy Aries. Thank you guys for coming.
All righty.
It was a great birthday party. We
Yeah.
all came for Tracy.
Everyone be safe. Take care.
Most people we're going to get at our parties, that's for sure.
Just leave it, Bill, for a minute in case anybody wants to check the chat. We'll stay on for a few minutes, guys, in case you want to scan the chat to
Laura-
look at the addresses. and
Laura
information.
Lang's birthday is Wednesday.
Ah,
Bye, everybody.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Kris.
Yeah, they
Bye, Barbara.
That's their one, too.
okay.
Cool.
You got it.
You did? So why? Okay. I was confused because my computer usually tells me if it doesn't go through, and it didn't tell me anything. So how weird. Okay. Well, maybe that's why there's so many people on here today.
I was looking for it from the film. Yes, it did go through, so people did get it before.
I don't know. Let me see if I got it.
You
Okay.
guys shoot me those stats.
Yes.
Thank you.
The what?
Casey
Those
wants to
stats
stay.
you just read off. I know everyone's aiming for some sort of graph for those, so I will get working on that right now. I can see that.
22, 12, and 21.
That's how it looks.
Hold on.
Can you see it?
And this, what's the time frame on this since the beginning of
That was
March?
the last
That's
7
just-
days.
That was last week.
22, 12, 21.
Yes.
Yep.
12, 21. Okay, fabulous.
Hey, Jack and Barbara.
I am.
You feeling better, Barb?
They're just.
What'd you say? She's not unmuted. Unmute her, Phil.
Okay.
We can't unmute you. You have to unmute
They
yourself.
probably don't have a. They probably
They
don't have a
microphone.
mic.
All right. Take care, everybody.
Okay, now you can sign off. So.
Where do we do that?
Oh God, I gotta go into another webinar. Sorry. See ya.
I'll take it. I'll take care of it.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Okay.